Hold up, I ain't trying to stump, man, but the Yeezys jumped over the jump, man. I be in and out of arenas like I'm Scottie Pippen.
Left my elbow in the pot, a la Vince Carter.
Bitch, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym?
James Harden with the range on me, nigga, way back.
Coach, they won't knock me off my pivot, get it.
Been flowing stupid since Vince Carter was on some through the legs arm and a hoop shit.
And you can live through anything if magic made it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, now you do.
Yes, sir. We are back. Round of applause for yourselves. This is your guy, Marcellus Ease, and we got quite a few good things on the docket for today. The NBA storylines keep on rolling, and things kind of get crazier and crazier. As we'll touch base on some of the inner nuances that are going on with this Lakers sale, and how Jeannie Buss and her family was able to complete this transaction, but not from a position of power. Also, the player media landscape gets a shakeup, as D Wade as well as TMac voiced quite a few sentiments about Kobe Bryant that left his fan base in quite a frenzy. Kobe Bryant's place in the all-time GOAT list has always been something that has shaken up the algorithms. And we'll jump back in time as we'll hear from Penny Hardaway as he reflects on his ups and downs during his Orlando Magic years. From how he met Shaq before joining Orlando to how his Nike deal came about and who originally were the Foamposites for. And last but not least, as LeBron James begins to make his exit from the NBA, a lot of his stands throughout the media that were hopping on his coattails, hoping that he would be the GOAT, are starting to pull a quick 180. There's no doubt that his career is going to be one of the all-time greatest in the NBA lexicon, but him not reaching up to that Michael Jordan level of aura and just excellence has closed the doors on a lot of media members' lucrative opportunities to being attached to his name during his rise. And for those very same media members, it almost created a subculture of sports debate that has now become too repetitive, and with that hype train dying down, so does all that LeBron GOAT talk that was attached to it. Now, ever since the Buss family has sold the Los Angeles Lakers, we've been seeing a lot of different reports on the estimation of an evaluation of what the team is worth. There's been a lot of misleading headlines making it seem like the family got $10 billion for their current percentage of ownership. And as the weeks passed after the sale, you started to hear more of the mainstream NBA media speak the truth about what was going on with the Lakers behind the scenes, behind the most recognizable logo in the NBA. For example, how their medical team ranked versus other franchises, also their analytics department, scouting, coaching staffs, a lot of internal hires like the Rambis family. You can even look at Rob Pelinka, that was Kobe Bryant's agent. A lot of the internal operations was really called into question by NBA media members who've known these things could be an issue for years. And they've alluded to the fact that the Lakers, they kind of been cutting corners on those ends. You could look at the JJ Redick hire. They didn't pay as much money for a coach. Same thing for Darvin Ham when they had him there. And also with Steve Ballmer owning the Clippers in the same town, they actually have the best facilities and is spending top dollar on back-end personnel. But in this segment, we're going to get deep into this whole Lakers sale because it requires a lot of further inspection underneath the hood. And we're going to hear from former Florida Marlins president David Samson as he kind of breaks down some of the dynamics that's going on with the Buss family and how they sold the team not necessarily from a position of power, but it may more resemble from a position of desperation. Keep in mind the father had passed away in 2013, Dr. Buss, and he purchased the team for $67 million. So the family had to pay taxes on that $67 million evaluation up until his death. So when the kids had inherited the team, they now had to pay based off of the new evaluation for that current day, which the Lakers were then evaluated at $1 billion. So ever since 2013, the family, in ordinance with the city, has been paying taxes based off of that $1 billion evaluation. And just to add some more nuance before we get to hear from David Samsung, keep in mind that the family did have internal strife when they first took over. Jeannie Buss let her brother take over the GM roles, which they kind of got into a little dispute with Phil Jackson upon his possible return. Also in 2020, when they won that championship in the bubble, as one of the siblings tried to take more control of the franchise in the position that Jeannie Buss was put in by her father. And this family only makes their money through the Lakers, unlike a lot of the other NBA owners, especially the new ones today that have multiple revenue streams. Another monkey wrench I'm going to throw into this situation is the way owners now are selling these teams and reporting that they're maintaining control. Mark Cuban sold the Mavericks for 3.5, which a lot of people already side-eyed that price because it was lower than what the Phoenix Suns got a few years earlier, and this is minus inflation. You would think Cuban would get a higher price, but it was reported that he maintained control just so he can justify that price, just to see Luka get traded, and we find out that he never maintained any control. The Mavericks at the time, they lost their local TV revenue with the Diamond Sports bankruptcy, and at the same time, Mark Cuban saw the writing on the wall with the way the luxury tax was constructed with the new CBA, because the cost of building around a player like Luka, not necessarily his contract, the cost around his contract to pay Kyrie, to get others on the team, to pay their extensions at even a higher price point when they come up, that was going to be costly. And that right there is what exactly Mark Cuban was afraid of. We've seen it happen with the Phoenix Suns, where their owner was paying $140 million plus a year just to watch his team get worse and worse and worse. So this exact situation was going to play out for the Lakers also, as those of you that are watching the visual version, as you can see here, they were barely underneath the second apron in the 24-25 season. But if you look at the 25-26 season, that's with LeBron James opting in and less players being on the roster. The team not only costs more, but they also have less breathing room to put players around Luka to keep this team competitive. So just like Mark Cuban, Jeannie Buss sees the writing on the wall. Jeannie, alongside her 5 other siblings, who for the most part are all entering into their 60s or even in their late 50s, had an interesting ordeal the way the father had left the Lakers to them, because had any of the siblings had passed away, the percentages of their shares don't go to their children. The writing was always on the wall for the Buss family to sell the Lakers. Not only they're paying a higher tax evaluation, going from $67 million to $1 billion in 2013 when the father had passed away, now all the siblings are going into older age, and they're wondering if they pass away, their kids would not benefit from owning the Lakers. Their percentages will get spread across their other siblings and not go to their children. So there's a lot of nuances that go into this story. The Buss family has about 60% of the Lakers shares, and in 2021, they sold about 27% of a minority stake to the owners of the Los Angeles Dodgers, who end up buying the rest of the majority stake in 2025 anyway. So the $10 billion that was reported was not really correct. They sold 27% of their shares for about $1.5 billion. But David Sampson right here, former president of the Florida Marlins, who has plenty of experience in dealing with these type of situations, spoke on it. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
Just a couple days ago, it was announced that the Lakers are being sold by the Buss family to the owner of the Dodgers for what people are reporting is $10 billion. $10 billion is a healthy number and completely unsubstantiated. We do not know exactly what the total valuation is of the Lakers. There have been absolutely numerous media reports and people taking credit for having the scoop of what percentage is exactly being sold by the Buss family to Mark Walter and his group. Mark Walter was already an owner of the Lakers.
Remember, I stated earlier that he bought 27% of a minority stake into the team in 2021.
Mark Walter is taking majority control of the Lakers. He is not writing a $10 billion check. Even if he were buying 100% of the Lakers, he would not be writing a $10 billion check.
Right here, David Sampson knows something right away about how these owners leverage the equity of their teams to sometimes acquire debt. Make no mistake about it, Jeannie Buss and her family are liquid rich, but they're cash poor. So there's a possibility out of some of the percentages that they already own have been divvied out as ways to cover debt. So we don't exactly know how much of a majority stake the Buss family really has.
As an enterprise value, don't forget you have to subtract the debt and any other purchase price adjustments in a purchase of a team. Purchase price adjustments can be in the form of an out-of-market contract or some sort of obligation of the existing owner that would not carry over to the new owner. So $10 billion is not the number that Walter is solving for. But wherever he gets his money, whether it's the Middle East or whether it's his mattress, he is going to figure out, along with the Buss family, how this is going to work. And what we're already hearing is that Jeannie Buss, the current governor who won a power struggle with her brothers after the dad died, she is the governor of the team. She fired her brother. Succession style, baby. He was doing like player personnel stuff, and he would make trades and not tell her about it, or stuff that she didn't approve. And she was like, hey, see you later, bro.
And that lawsuit took place in the same time the Lakers were kind of going through that championship run in the bubble. Jeannie Buss behind the scenes, yeah, she was going through it.
And not in a negative way did she call him that. And in order for the Buss kids to sell, they had to vote, and they have never been able to agree to sell the team at any price to anyone until now, where they've agreed that it's time to take some cash off the table. The concept of being asset rich and cash poor is a concept that many people have that you wouldn't think have, because you would just assume, my God, that person's rich. And then you realize that, well, wait a minute, they don't have a lot of actual money to spend. They have things that are worth money.
Exactly. That's been the MO of the Lakers franchise for a long time. They have the prestige of a New York Yankees, of a Manchester United. But when it comes to the finances, not really. The family overall didn't even have the cash to set themselves up the same way Steve Ballmer's setting up the Clippers to make a ton of money. You could tell from the way they agreed to lock in the Lakers to play in an arena that they do not own for the next 10 years. Also, they locked themselves into a TV deal with Time Warner Cable while the NBA is going into streaming. They could have easily had waited and done a deal with Netflix and possibly earn even more money, but maybe they needed the cash at the time. And another way you could look at them cutting corners is the coaching hires. They didn't really go out their way spending money getting a coach. You got LeBron James, you get Darvin Ham, then you go out and get JJ Redick. Once again, multiple media members after the sale of this team has stated the Lakers facilities are not really up to par compared to other franchises, including staffs from different departments, whether it be analytical, medical, or even scouting. The Lakers have always operated as a mom and pop franchise, and right now in the NBA, the way the business and the money is going, those days are coming to a close.
If you don't sell something that's worth money, you can't use cash. Now you can mortgage it, you can borrow against it, you can use it as collateral, except when you own a sports team, you are using much of that sports team as collateral for your existing debt. So for example, in baseball, there's something called the league-wide credit facility, which is money that is borrowed using a national TV contract and your share of it as collateral.
Interesting point that he brings up right there. Again, keep in mind, the Lakers has signed a mega long-term deal with Time Warner Cable. So not only the Buss family has the option of leveraging the team's net worth, they could also leverage the net worth of that contract. And to a degree, each sibling, including Jeannie Buss, could leverage her own personal net worth to pay off certain debts. I remember Jeannie Buss had even stated she lost some of her own personal money from the Russell Westbrook fiasco. That was really the first signal that she was eventually going to sell.
I swear to God, I'll pay you back. But if I don't, you can have my 1/30th share of all national revenue. But I want to borrow more money. All right, I'll put my tickets, food, beverage, merchandise, and my local TV deal in a pot, and I'll use that as collateral.
Again, the details of that local TV deal is the Lakers are locked in with Time Warner Cable for 20 years in a $3 billion deal. So that's $218 million payout per year. And you can see how long that deal is for 20 years. They're going to miss out on all that inflation. So if the TV rights or just the local rights go up even higher, they're not going to be able to capitalize off of none of that inflation. 20 years is too fucking long, but it shows you the desperation that they need to lock in that long-term deal to obtain that type of guarantee equity that they could leverage to even pay off certain debts.
Well, but what if nobody shows up to your games? All right, I'll put my own net worth as collateral of this debt. So there's so many different levels of debt that franchises have, that people have, that sometimes you say selling the underlying asset makes the most financial sense. Let me do a transaction where I can realize liquidity. Liquidity is when you have the ability to go buy a car, a boat, a piece of art, a house, something, not with debt, with actual money that you have in your bank. Now, of course, people are very complimentary of the fact that the Buss family bought this team at $67.5 million, and now they're selling it at $10 billion. That is quite a capital gain. What they're ignoring is that when Dr. Jerry Buss died, you get what's called a step up in basis.
Now, this is the tax that he's about to go over. The father passed away, and the team was only evaluated at $67 million. That's the price point that the city recognizes the business of the Los Angeles Lakers to be at, and it went up all the way to $1 billion. So now the siblings, every year after 2013, the city of Los Angeles recognized the Lakers as a business had a $1 billion evaluation. So you can imagine the taxes on that.
So the kids are not paying a tax based on something bought for $67 million and now selling for $10 billion. If they were, just say that's a $10 billion gain. Let's say that your capital gains rate, just for purposes of this conversation, 20%, you're losing $2 billion off the top. But of course, they're not getting $10 billion. They're not paying $2 billion in taxes. The basis of their team is done the day Jerry Buss dies. What's the team worth? And when he died in 2000 and whatever it is, I want to say 13 or 14, the team clearly was not worth $10 billion, but they argued at the time, and I'm sure got a very healthy step up in basis. What is happening in LA is a transaction that has not been approved by the league at all. There is nothing signed. You can bet your sweet bippy because you only sign it once the league approves it. But there was a rumor again, and I'm going to call it the CR. It's my new favorite term. The Cuban rumor. The Cuban rumor is that Mark Cuban was selling the Mavericks, and he was going to keep control of the basketball operation and still be the governor, which means the controlling owner when you're in an owner's meeting and you get to vote on behalf of your team. And we told you on Nothing Personal, that was complete horse hockey. And we were mocked from coast to coast, ocean to ocean, except we turned out to be right.
The Luka trade exposed that. Mark Cuban had no control. Even he was shocked by the trade. But again, that context is thrown in when a team sells is because the owners are low-key selling the team below what the media perception is of what the net worth is. Mark Cuban, at the end of the day, possibly only got $1.5 billion for the Dallas Mavericks. We don't know how much debt that he had on that team. The only thing we know for sure is that they lost their local TV money because Diamond Sports have filed for bankruptcy. So them, along with many other NBA teams, had to scramble and kind of figure out what they're going to do as far as broadcasting their games locally. The Phoenix Suns had to link up with the Arizona Diamondbacks and kind of formulate their own app and also provide the games over the air with a basic antenna. So the games were free in Phoenix. The Mavericks linked up with the baseball team, I believe the Texas Rangers, and they also formulated their own app. Same thing for the Houston Rockets, the Utah Jazz. A lot of teams in the Southwest and some in the Pacific had to reorganize themselves because that Diamond Sports bankruptcy really affected a lot of teams. The Pelicans, the Memphis Grizzlies, etc. So with that revenue lost, who knows how much debt they had to take on and perhaps leverage the net worth of the team as collateral. And who the fuck is spending all that money just to not have control of a team? That doesn't make any sense. There's no business person spending even $3 billion and they don't have control of their asset. Doesn't make any sense.
Because the rule in basketball is a pretty simple rule. You can't be the governor unless you are out front, you own a higher percentage than anyone, and you are a majority. That was the whole issue, by the way. Side note, when you're putting together transactions and teams are being sold and they're using private equity or they're using Middle East money, whatever it is they're using, and you have to find a way to raise more money on your own. Is this sounding familiar, Celtics fans? When the deal had to change, when Bill Chisholm originally was doing the transaction for Boston at what people are reporting at $6.1 billion, which is not true. It's a step transaction, and it's already firm what the steps are and when and at what valuation. It's not hopeful that the Celtics will be worth more one day. The Celtics are being sold today for a blended price above 6.1. And you're reading in every article the Celtics sold at 6.1 billion. That's just wrong, period. But Bill Chisholm did not own enough of the Celtics to be the governor because he was taking money from these firms. It had to be changed, and it was. Same thing here. Mark Walter will be the governor of the team, not Jeannie Buss. No matter what Jeannie Buss keeps, and the rumor is the family's keeping 15%. Whether it's true or not, it makes no difference.
Interesting. They're keeping 50%. So originally they owned about 60. We could estimate it to that. Then in 2021, they sold 27%. They still had majority shares, so they still had control. And then you see the remaining shares now have been sold, right? Except like David Sampson just said, they kept 15%. So $10 billion for another, 45% of shares? That number does not quite add up. That's why I said these sales, there's a lot of things underneath the hood that we have to look at upon further inspection.
Jeannie Buss herself will not own a majority of the team. She will not be the largest shareholder. She will not be the governor. And if you think that Mark Walter and his partners are buying the team for $10 billion, the Athletic said it could be $12 billion. It could be $20 billion. I don't care what it is. You're going to spend that amount of money and say, hey, we're good here. I'm too busy doing Andrew Friedman's job and Stan Kasten's job in LA. I don't have time to do your job too. I'm going to stand over both franchises and just go full Paul McCartney. Let it be, let it be. No. Stop believing what you read. Jeannie Buss will remain the governor for years. Give me a break.
Yes, unfortunately, the reporting is completely off. Lakers sell for $10 billion and Jeannie Buss remains the controlling governor for years. Doesn't make any sense. But it is what it is. As you can see, the Buss family, unfortunately, they didn't necessarily sell this team from a position of power. It's more of a position from, we have many large bills that are due that's coming up. We don't want to leverage too much net worth of the team as far as credit. We had a good run, but fuck it. Let's cash out. So this will be a brand new series I'll be starting up called Uncomfortable Conversations. And this will be volume 1, in which we've seen a number of NBA players over the past couple weeks. Players take perceived shots at Kobe Bryant and his greatness. And as we go along through this segment, we'll hear from D Wade, Tracy McGrady, as well as Theo Penson and Raymond Felton as they reflected on a current day player that would make this imaginary GOAT conversation even more uncomfortable for certain fan bases. But to start off, Kobe Bryant, make no mistake about it, he is one of the most relatable superstars ever to touch the NBA court. And what exactly I mean by that is the Mamba mentality is relatable to almost everybody and can be applied to anyone. Kobe Bryant, coming into the NBA even as a high school phenom, wasn't talent-wise on the level of a guy like Allen Iverson or any highly coveted top 5, top 4, top 3 pick. But over time, with the Mamba mentality, just working on his game day by day, he began to surpass guys like Allen Iverson, who was born with all the raw talent. And that right there is truly what made Kobe Bryant great. He definitely ended his career, no matter where you rank him, above a lot of other guys who had way more raw talent coming into the NBA because of his Mamba mentality, just working on his game day in, day out. But unfortunately, after his timely passing, his fan base is a little bit confused of why he's not ranked higher within this GOAT conversation. And make no mistake, there are levels to greatness. So to start this off, we're going to hear from Kobe Bryant after winning 3 championships alongside Shaq on, at the time, where did he rank the all-time Lakers ever to put on a jersey. This is going to serve as a great backdrop. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
Can you give me your all-time starting five?
Oh, of all time?
All time.
Magic at the point. MJ at the 2. Larry Bird at the 3.
Notice how Kobe put Larry Bird on that list. Just to add some more context to that. Look at the difference from, I believe it's the early 80s, or from when he first joined the team versus when he wasn't there. That team was horrible, had a bad record, and Larry Bird almost took him to about 60 wins. There's a major difference from when Larry Bird was on the court versus when he wasn't there. But for research purposes, you guys definitely check that out, and it shows you his impact.
Larry Bird at the 3. Bill Russell at the 4. This is tough. Wilt at the 5. And I'm struggling because, you know, Kareem and Wilt, I mean, they're neck and neck. So,
Are you sixth man?
no, dude, I'm nowhere near that stuff, man.
You see how Kobe responded to that? I'm nowhere near that stuff, man. This is after winning 3 championships. And it's a unique perspective for Kobe Bryant fans to understand. Notice a lot of those guys that he named on that list, even on a shitty team, those guys are making the playoffs. That's why I say there's levels to the greatness. Kobe Bryant, of course, is a great on his own, but he's had seasons in his prime where his team didn't even make the playoffs. And if you look at the NBA historically, the true greats, even on the come up, it's almost impossible to miss the playoffs with those guys unless there was some crazy injury. In which, for Kobe's case, the years that the Lakers in the mid-2000s were missing the playoffs, that wasn't necessarily the case. They didn't have the greatest of teams, but the 5 players he just named, you're not missing the playoffs with those guys on your team.
You still got Jerry West, you still got Oscar Robertson, you still got Walt Frazier, you still got Bob Petty, you still got, I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
You see how he named those other players? Kobe knows those are also other guys that your team is not necessarily missing the playoffs with those players on your team. That's how great they are. Again, there's levels. And unfortunately, in today's sports media landscape, with the first take debate culture, there's too much of picking sides, good versus evil, instead of guys kind of evaluating the nuances and looking at the game more from a historical context.
How about your all-time Lakers starting five?
All-time Lakers starting 5. Let's see, you got to go with Magic. It's funny because a lot of these players are in my 5, you know, are in the top 10 of all time. You're talking about Magic, you're talking about Jerry West, Elgin Baylor.
Elgin Baylor is another player that gets overlooked even by Laker fans as far as his greatness. Understand, when he came into the NBA, it was very unusual for them to even allow black players to be the leading scorer of a team. A lot of black players at the time were just guys to get rebounds, get steals, and play defense. Elgin Baylor broke that mold, and he averaged about 35 points a game. And I'm going to just add some more sauce on top. Elgin Baylor, from the time he came into the NBA, them not allowing black players to necessarily be the leading scorer of a team, 20 years after that time, Michael Jordan ended up being the face of the NBA. That's how much of an impact Elgin Baylor has had on the league. But anytime you hear all-time Laker greats, his name doesn't really get mentioned. That right there shows you how much of the nuances are being left out from the first take debate sports culture that precedes the NBA media today.
It's funny because a lot of these players are in my 5, you know, are in the top 10 of all time. You're talking about Magic, you're talking about Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Kareem, and Wilt.
Once again, the players that Kobe Bryant just named in that starting 5, if they're not hurt, it doesn't matter if they have a shitty team. It's hard to miss the playoffs with those type of superstars. But Tracy McGrady, Jay Will, Stephen A. Smith, and Gilbert Arenas has sat down and spoke about what defines a player's greatness, with Gilbert Arenas being inserted as a wild card into this first take panel. It definitely shook things up. Everyone was more lit, they were turned up, and TMac revealed his true feelings as he threw out Kobe's name multiple times. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
No, but you talk about the whole package, though.
Hold on, wait a minute. What I said about Giannis, who is phenomenal, is that because of how phenomenal he is, if having captured a championship in 2021, he plays the next 8-9 years, and he never wins a championship again, you're going to look at him and say, damn, we expected more titles. It's not his fault. I didn't blame him for it. I just said,
Hold up. See, this goes back. So after he won the championship, has he made it to the conference finals?
No.
Why?
Injuries.
Injuries.
He was injured, and then Damian Lillard got injured.
I played 4 years in Orlando, got ridiculed because I never got out of first round. Grant Hill at the time was the best player on that team. This is my 4th year in the league. Grant Hill was the best player on that team.
Right.
So I'm playing 4 years without my best player, can't get out of the first round. But I get ridiculed because I can't do. Giannis won a championship.
Time out.
He won a championship.
Hold on.
After that, he couldn't get back.
Because you know you're my brother. Here's the deal. Here's how you got ridiculed. Y'all were up 3-1 one time, and you thought y'all had it in the bag.
Can't find that.
Hold on.
Can't find.
What I'm talking about, when you went against Detroit. Yeah. Y'all thought y'all had it in the bag.
Because we up 3-1.
You were up 3-1. So, again, it was the fact that if you're good enough to be up 3-1, they expected you to close the deal. That was the only thing anybody ever said. I'm just saying. And then
never been up 3-1.
But when they blew it, we pointed it out.
I'm just saying.
When they blew it, we pointed it out. But we know they're great. But we pointed out you lost a 3-1 lead.
Right there is strike one from the Kobe Bryant fan base when he threw his name out there.
Okay, I'm saying that's not saying you're not great. It's saying that the moment arrived and y'all ain't closed. That's all. It's a fact.
Y'all.
It's a fact.
Y'all.
There you go.
It's a y'all. Thank you for saying y'all.
It's a y'all. You got to use y'all. You can't use the player itself because it's a school project. It's a team project. Right? There's an A student. That A student final grade from the media is reflected by everybody else. So if you don't have other A students with you, right?
I happen to know a thing. I'm not trying to say, nor have I ever said, it's not all on you. I'm saying when you talk about a narrative and how the public perceives things, it emanates from that because somehow, some way, they're looking at you, and it's not 1-on-5, but they're technically expectations are not expectations.
As a player, what's the most frustrating part of this conversation for you?
They separate the individual from the team, right? When things don't go right with the team, it's your fault, right? If there's a game 7 and the best player don't perform well, it's his fault. But you could go in history. I remember, was that Boston versus Lakers? Kobe didn't play well.
Again, right there, another trigger point. Yo, TMac is going ham. Does he have a personal vendetta? But he's not telling no lies at this point right here.
In game 7, Ron Artest,
saved the day.
Saved the day. Right.
Kobe lost the series to Phoenix in the first round.
That's every championship.
And that's what I'm saying.
Like you shot for Miami. It's a series. It's like all that stuff.
Point at the individual.
If you I say the public perception, we help drive that with what we tell the public.
Okay.
Fair.
And that's fair.
So that's where you get the barbershop talk.
But what I'm saying to you is this: if I'm a member of the same team as you, and I'm getting paid $50 million, and you get paid $5.
And this right here is the difference between Kobe Bryant and those guys. He took on the responsibility. There's a fucking difference, T-Mac. Kobe took on the responsibility, though. Winning was his #1 priority, and he let it be known up front.
There's a reason for that. So somebody's going to, I'm not saying that it's always fair because sometimes your teammate can mess up. Guys ain't getting the job done. It may not be your fault. We recognize that. What I'm saying, however, I'm talking about the expectation going into a situation. I'm not talking about looking at a moment and ignoring what other people didn't do while you did your job. That's egregious. But walking into a situation where expectations and narratives are established, it usually comes associated with the great ones that stand above the crowd. How is that a problem?
Because the great ones also have other cars with them. That helps them there. Right? So, we're Bugattis, right? Ferrari. I got Hondas with me.
Now, that's a misconception on Gilbert Arenas' part. You are not a Ferrari, and Tracy McGrady's also not a Ferrari. These guys in the playoffs are more like the Acura. They're like a higher-end version of the Honda. Once again, this is where Mamba mentality comes in. Kobe just getting better day by day by day. Even though T-Mac probably has more raw talent than Kobe, Kobe surpassed him. And with his playoff and championship success, you've seen everything come together. But Gilbert Arenas mixes up regular season success when his star really gets judged on what he does in the playoffs. And right here, he considers himself a Ferrari, but yet he was a seasoned vet going up against a lesser experienced LeBron in the playoffs, and even King James was able to knock him out still. It was always a struggle in those years between the Cavs and Wizards for Gilbert to get past LeBron. That's why I say there's levels. And when it comes to superstars, Kobe Bryant is 2 tiers above these guys. And there's still tiers above Kobe. We heard him in the first part of the segment where he mentioned the top tier: Jordan, Bird, Magic, Wilt, Kareem, Bill Russell. That's the top tier. And the second tier was when he went to the diatribe about Jerry West and others. Let's go back to that real quick.
Are you sixth man?
No, dude, I'm nowhere near that stuff, man. You still got Jerry West, you still got Oscar Robinson, you still got Walt Frazier, you still got Bob Petty, you still got, the list goes on and on and on.
That's the exact tier I'm talking about. A player like Shaquille O'Neal, because he didn't take his career as serious, not staying in shape, he falls in between those 2 tiers. He could have been up there along with Kareem and Wilt, but him not taking his career as serious, he finished with 4 championships anyway, going to the finals with 3 different teams. So he's in between those 2 tiers. Again, there's levels to greatness when it comes to the NBA.
Let's go back to LeBron for a second. When LeBron lost the title to San Antonio, first go round, nobody said a word. We all know that he was at the finals with Hondas.
Yeah.
We all knew that.
Yeah.
We knew that. And with Honda, yes, we did. Nobody held against them that they lost to San Antonio. They didn't have that. Nobody held that against LeBron.
Everybody in the East was like, that could have been us. Yep. I know we was like, man, that could have been us.
No, Gil, it could have never been you. You were struggling against a young LeBron James in the playoffs. Come on, buddy. But Kobe Bryant fans continued to get up in arms when Dwayne Wade had made certain statements. I don't know, it was a rough week for the Kobe stands. But they didn't take too well with him mentioning that Pau Gasol should have won MVP, which he was completely out of pocket for, because Kobe was definitely the MVP of that 2010 finals. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
In that finals, that last finals that they won, Kobe didn't play well. Kobe didn't shoot the ball well. Actually, everybody thought Pau Gasol should have been MVP. That's how well Pau was playing, and Kobe was playing awful.
Yeah, I don't know what Dwayne Wade was on, but he was completely off with that. Yeah, Kobe had a bad game 7, but overall in that series, he was killing the Celtics. But this NBA media landscape today, players' egos from time to time are going to jump out and hit those broadcast airwaves. Sometimes it might be perceived as hate. The interesting thing about Wade, he's one of the all-time shooting guards to ever play the game. But when it comes to that tier that I spoke about earlier, he falls a level below Kobe. Let's remember, Kobe Bryant as a leader took his team to 3 straight NBA finals. And these all-time lists are really going to be uncomfortable because we have to factor in the modern day players. Guys like Nikola Jokic are going to make it very uncomfortable when all things are said and done of where he falls in the hierarchy and who takes a step down. Theo Penson and Raymond Felton spoke on this. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
Majority of the time, the MVP is that year is the best player in the world. He's the MVP is playing the best. You would think the NBA is the best league in the world. Jokic is the best player in the world. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it ain't close.
It's not close at all.
Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world, and it's not close.
100%, and that's the scariest part. They gave SGA the MVP, but Jokic's numbers were actually better than all the years that he won MVP. And the same thing happened in the year that Embiid won the MVP. Jokic's numbers in that season was actually better than his MVP season the year before. And with SGA winning the MVP in 2025, Jokic's numbers were even better than those years. That is the scariest part about all this. It doesn't get talked about enough because, once again, Jokic is a European player and the NBA media overall does not know how to market those guys. But he's had points in certain seasons where he was the lead leader in assists, rebounds, and points. This is insane. He's doing this without even being a ball hog. It's not like he's chucking up a bunch of shots. and not getting his teammates involved. He very much plays in the flow of the game, and other guys love playing with him.
Shea is a very good scorer. He ain't Jokic. You flip-flop Shea on Denver, oh, Lord. It's not the same. You're not getting the same result. You put Jokic on OKC.
Oh, man. They're about to be looking like the Bulls 91, 92, 93, and 96, 7, and 8. God damn.
They're a dynasty.
You put Jokic on OKC.
They're a dynasty.
No, clear-cut favorite. They're the team to beat.
Every year.
I'm telling Jokic the best player in the world. Listen,
I feel like Jokic is the best player in the NBA today, 100%.
Yes.
I totally agree with you.
But from the past, how many years, though?
Yeah.
Since his first
it's
MVP.
Been consistent,
Since
though,
his
right?
first.
No, he's definitely.
He could have won 5 MVPs already. It's getting to a point where every season they almost have to recreate a brand new excuse of why not to give him the MVP. Because it's looking scary out here.
He's definitely consistent, and he's making it look easy.
It's too easy.
Like, again,
to
put it in perspective, he's having the most efficient season of all time. And the person who has the next three are him.
I say, man, listen,
are him.
Cole.
You can't. You have to do a Cole. You can't take it from him. Period. Because if you look at the numbers, you look at the season. He's playing the best out of everybody. I don't care, but you can't take away from what he's done in Oklahoma. He's taking that team. He's the leader. He's the man. He's taking that team, and they got over 60 wins.
Yeah.
And they are number one in the West once again. Back-to-back years.
Yeah.
You gotta give that man.
I think this is
this the closest MVP?
1,000%.
Yes.
1,000%. Because
either one of them,
it's a snub.
Facts.
It's a snub.
Facts.
But it doesn't get talked about like that. That's the interesting thing. They make it seem like SGA was the runaway MVP. But when you look at Jokic's numbers, Jesus, triple-double with better shooting percentages. Oh, my God.
Because you can't discredit what Jokic is doing.
You can.
But you can't discredit what SGA is doing on the best. Bro, they are
the best team.
14 games up.
They're the best
dominating.
team.
They're dominating.
And he's the main part of it. I don't care. You take him off that team is still going to be good. Don't get me wrong, because they play defense and they scrap. But that team is not number one in the West.
They're like
that team does not win 60 games without SGA. And that's why I say it's so up in the air, bro. I just can't say just give it to Jokic. But damn, that motherfucker's so good, ain't he? He's good.
But
bro.
we said this though. We like
gotta be a first.
It was
MVP.
SGA, but then if Jokic put a performance together, that's gonna be.
And he did.
That performance made this 10 times harder. If he won an MVP and there was like a 6 seed.
It was a 6 seed. Yeah.
Like the best player in the league. And let me ask, I will be honest, like this is where it comes to peers. This is where it comes to who do your peers think?
There's no way.
Who do your peers think?
But so did you hear?
I think everybody be saying the same thing I'm saying, bro. It's too hard to pick one. It's hard, bro.
It depends who'd you just play most recently. That's probably how you feel about it. Cause then so let's go to the next thing. Let's go back to B. B is the Nuggets and Timberwolves the best current rivalry in NBA? Because the last time they played, they've had nothing but classic games.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this though: when they asked Anthony Edwards who is the best player in the world, he said it's Jokic. When it's not me, basically, is what he said. But because he's like, bro, he's doing like stuff unreal. Like he's like, Ant was like, we're playing a game. We know he's dominating, but you look up, he has 60, 10, and 15. You're like, we didn't even realize he was having that.
Yeah.
I don't think he realizes he's having that. That's just how he plays the game.
And the thing with Jokic, he plays the game the right way. He plays the game the right way and dominates.
Doesn't force anything.
Hold on. Cam, we're on live right now. We got a question for you.
He doesn't force anything.
This is Cam Johnson.
I was like, nigga.
From the Brooklyn Nets.
I was so confused.
Yo.
Cam, is Jokic the best player in the world?
Yes.
If you were to vote for MVP right now, who would it be?
I told you.
It's tough. Shea. It would be Shea?
Yeah.
What's your reasoning?
I'm a hypocrite.
I just would agree.
Voter fatigue, as in I'm the voter and I'm fatigued and giving the MVP to Jokic. I think that's very.
Damn. Last time we heard about MVP voter fatigue was when Michael Jordan was playing. That's how dominant Jokic has been the past, I would say, 5 to 6 years.
Real, first of all.
Yes.
And like, okay, we can acknowledge that they accomplished what they accomplished in different ways, but the fact that Shea is leading that young team to a clear-cut #1 seed.
Yes.
In addition to everything he does, like, yes, that's our one thing, but game impacts another. Like, it's not that Jokic impacts the game in literally every way possible, and the Nuggets literally just aren't as good without him.
Yeah.
But
or would you be mad if there was a co-MVP?
Yeah. I mean, it's very justifiable, but I just you can't cut the MVP in half.
I see that.
You got to go one or the other.
You got to pick.
Forcing me to pick.
Damn.
Jokic could win it. It's like Bron, Jordan. Like, they had years where they could have won it and they didn't. You know what I mean?
Do you think it will make the product diminished if they do cut it in half like that?
Because then they're gonna have to. Then they're gonna be like, we got to do this every year. They're gonna try to come up with a code every single year.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to pick.
Facts. That MVP award, ever since Russell Westbrook won it, they created a large gray area for the criterias. Because James Harden definitely had won that award, and his team had the best record. So as of recent history, that's where all the confusion and mix-ups kind of really come from.
He's having the best statistical season ever.
And the other three are
better than
his.
his other MVPs.
Yeah, the other three are his.
That's the thing. How do you not?
You can't not. But what I'm saying,
You can't not, but I pick SGA.
I told you.
This is the hardest. This is the hardest MVP race in my opinion.
I told you I'm giving it to SGA. I got to. It's hard though, but I got to give it to SGA.
give it to Yoke, but I'm not voting for him.
I hear you. I hear you.
Damn.
And I know it sounds crazy. I don't know how to explain it.
Because he got 3.
More than that.
He got
yeah. Cam, we appreciate you, brother. Cam Johnson, Brooklyn Nets. He said it. He picking SGA, but the MVP is Jokic. That's really what this is.
They're like, yeah.
That's really what this is.
That's
Like,
insane.
I
what
don't
you
think
just
we
said.
ever had a MVP race.
I'm picking SGA.
We are picking Shea Gilgeous
But Jokic
Alexander,
is the MVP.
but Jokic is the most valuable player in the NBA.
And so look, I got a comment that it was saying, I'm not gonna say who it's from. They were like, is the triple-double MVP diminished because Russ has already done it and he's the first person to do it? And this is my explanation towards that. This is not a triple-double MVP. This is the most efficient season ever.
And he's a 7-footer. He's a big, not a guard.
But he plays. He's the first point center we've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's a point guard who in a center body, basically.
Not for real.
We saw like he can play off the ball. He's making behind the back passes from the paint. It has to be not even in recent memory. It might be the closest.
I'm gonna keep it a
race.
buck, and I'm not changing. He's the MVP.
If I'm voting, it has to be Jokic.
He's the MVP.
If I'm voting, I'm going with Shea, bro.
And I can't be mad at that. Though.
The only reason I don't like it, and what's kind of just hitting me right now, we're giving Shea the MVP, and I love Shea. This is empathy for Shea at this point. We all know he's the best player in the world.
He is. He is.
We all know
he's the best player in the world.
We all know we all know he's the best player in the world.
But
if Shea had the same record as the Nuggets, it wouldn't be close. If Shea had the same record as the Nuggets, it would not be close.
Even if they were the 2
we
seed.
are just saying.
But the fact that he doesn't,
for sure.
So the most valuable player, to me, is not going to come down to stats. It's going to come down to Shea has taken a young Thunder team with no vets. He's basically a vet, and he's 26. So you taking a young team 2 years in a row, #1 seed in the West, winning 60 games this year, best overall record this year. Like, so I'm just saying, like, I gotta reward him. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Felton kind of broke it down lovely right there. You got to reward the most consistent and best team, the best player. That's what really makes you the MVP. But it's a tough go, though. I'm not going to lie.
Our world is so creature of habit.
I got to reward him.
And we can reward him with. If Jokic has not won one, what will we say?
This man can do this every year.
If he has earned, he has never came out and said that he is not, bro. He has came out and said.
If you go back into the day, and it's just, I know this is not fair. I talk about this all the time with my dad. If you go back into the day, which I wasn't old enough to really see everything, but I remember clips. So you go back in the day, my daddy said Michael Jordan could have won MVP every fucking season.
Yeah.
He said he was the best player in the world every season, but they didn't give it to him.
My uncle said the same thing.
They didn't give it to him every
Chamberlain
year.
too.
They gave it to Karl Malone one year. They gave it to whoever this year. I mean,
Charles
they gave it
Barkley,
to different people. So
let me ask you,
it's
Ray.
just one of them situations.
You're
Jokic is the
Jokic.
best player. He's the best player.
If you're Jokic, you're having the best, you are feeling the best, you are playing the best you have ever played. He feels like he has earned this one more than he's ever earned any of them.
That's true. That's true.
How would you feel about it? Would you be like, don't put the sympathy just because I got 3?
You know
that don't
what's
got
the funny-
shit to do
You know
with
what's the
me.
funny part?
You know, with Theo right there, what he just said, Jokic's numbers have been normalized. That's just Joker doing what he does. That's how great he's been. If any other GOAT had these type of numbers, they would be bought up in a lot of these GOAT debates. But what Jokic has done this season, it's going to go by completely unnoticed.
Part about that,
the way Jokic at, he don't care.
You know what's
and the way I feel about
I've
it.
never heard Jokic talk about MVPs before other than this year.
Or stats.
Oh, he said something about
He has talked about
This the first
publicly
time.
and said, this is the best I've ever played in my life.
He said that.
That's the truth, though.
And but this is the funniest thing.
And I
about
don't
it.
get MVP, and it's the best I've played in my life.
listen,
if he wins another one, he's top 10 all time. I don't give a fuck what nobody say.
I think Shaq.
Whew. It's hard. It's going to be a tough conversation where he finishes right now if he had retired. When you look at those numbers, that is insane. If he has 4 more seasons of that, that top 10 conversation is going to be uncomfortable.
I think Shea should get MVP this year. That's my opinion. But if Jokic gets it, I'm not mad.
I'm gonna say this.
I'm just gonna say that. I'm not mad.
His response will probably be that he'll probably have a more efficient season somehow next season.
Hey, listen, the man is getting.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
listen, I don't think nobody even watching what he's doing. He's getting better
every year.
Every year, getting better.
And chronologically order every year. Like, it's not even
yes, he's getting better, bro. So it's scary, man. It's scary. I'm serious.
And it's getting scary enough because how old is Jokic?
Like 30.
Yeah,
I think he just turned 30.
Yeah, like
maybe 31.
He's still young.
Sheesh. I'm telling you, if he puts up 4 more seasons of doing the same exact thing, certain conversations are going to get real uncomfortable for certain fan bases. Somebody getting knocked off that list.
He's still young.
He hasn't played no more than 10 seasons.
He still got at least maybe 10 more
He's
seasons.
30, yeah. Like, he just turned 30.
Yeah, he could possibly play 10 more years if he want to. I don't think he will because he
won't play 10. He got a good 6 or 7.
Yeah. He was like 37.
Well, he just,
Especially if he win another one too.
I'll tell you this. He's dominant. Like, he's at the peak of he's in his prime.
He's going to get another MVP.
If he should be MVP this year. But if they get another piece, it's over.
And Theo Penson is right. And these all-time lists are really going to be uncomfortable because we have to factor in the modern-day players. Nikola Jokic are going to make it very uncomfortable when all things are said and done of where he falls in the hierarchy and who takes a step down. So NBA legend Penny Hardaway had did a sit-down, or should I call him Mr. 1 Cent, Mr. Kobe before Kobe, Mr. Orlando Magic. But he sat down with the fellas from Knuckleheads, aka Darius Miles and Q Rich, and they talked about quite a few things from how he ended up in Orlando to the formation of his Nike deal with the phone posits and the Little Penny commercials. This is going to be a nice little deep dive to the ups and downs of his NBA career. But first, we're going to hear from Shaq as he's going to tell the story of how he met Penny Hardaway, and while he was trying to get him to the Orlando Magic, he was at the same time learning the ropes of being an NBA star and leveraging that star power to get his way. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
So we called a timeout, and Matty was like, God damn it, Jerry, didn't I tell you going on? So this is the first time I seen a player talk back. I've never seen that before. It's the first time I seen a player talk back. Jerry Reynolds go, fuck that shit. Call some plays for me too. And I'm like, yeah. And then Matty did it. And then D was like, see, that's how you gotta be. That's when I kind of started. I kind of started serving myself. So my first power move is after we lose, I'm in LA same day. We lose on a Sunday, I'm in LA. So I'm shooting a movie, Blue Chips, and I say, you gotta make me a court so I can work out. This skinny kid, this motherfucker diming me up like magic. I don't know who he is, because you know me, I don't be paying attention to young cat. So I'm thinking he an actor. So finally I said, yo man, who's this? They said, yo man, that's Penny Hardaway. I said, he an actor? He said, no, they think he gonna be number 2, number 3 pick. And I'm like, damn, so I got this in my head. So my first major move was when I found out we got the ball, hey man, y'all don't get this Penny dude, I'm gonna be looking to do something else. Just to try it. First time I was ever arrogant, first time I ever talked back. So now we shoot the movie whenever. So the draft comes, they draft C-Web. Now I'm pissed. I'm tearing my house up, breaking mirrors, breaking trophies, and then they do it. They do the switch. I'm like, man, D-Scott was right. It works. So the second big move, hey man, give me Horace.
Horace Grant.
I don't know if we can afford Horace. You don't get Horace, I'm gonna be looking to do something else after my deal out. So now I'm learning how to maneuver, because they saying it's your team. So we all know if it's my team and it don't go right, I'm getting the blame.
Yep.
So if I'm gonna get all the blame, I'm gonna make sure I'm totally in control.
Now, Penny gives his side of the story on being on that movie set, and keep in mind, he's speaking to Q Richardson and Darius Miles, 2 players at the time that were also young. I believe Darius came out of high school. I'm not too sure about Q Rich, but similar to Penny, they were also doing movies.
Just knew that I was blessed enough to be in a movie. You know, we hood babies. We from the streets. We like,
hey, listen,
we get into a movie.
You know,
come on, man.
Me and D Miles have been in movies because, did a couple movies, got a little sad car. We walk around, thought we was real Hollywood stars out there. I got a trailer like they got. They got me with a little costume and like clothes. And hey, we out here.
Yeah, no.
Just going off a tangent, Darius Miles and Q Rich, low-key, they were really, at the time, the only NBA players that were in a movie like that. And they were fresh off, I believe, coming out of high school.
Tell us like the first time you met Shaq on set. That was the first time you met Shaq when you did the movie, right?
I met him before because back in the day, they had this thing called the Olympic Festival. So the Olympic Festival was north, south, east, west teams in Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota for the summer. And me and Shaq was on the same team before I did the movie Blue Chips. So I played with him on that team that summer. And then I saw him again.
That's crazy.
I saw him again doing Blue Chips. And I'm gonna tell y'all where I had my strategy at. And Chris Webber didn't have a chance. That's my dog. I had a strategy for Chris. Because Chris wanted to be in Orlando, and that's my dog. I said, you know what? Chris is probably, Michigan, he Fab Five. That's my dog. He a cold dude. Him and Shaq together, I don't know, man. That'd be so dominant. But me and Shaq together can be like Magic and Kareem. So when I went to the movie, I took advantage of every single day. Every time Shaq raised his hand, that ball was coming. I ain't take one shot. He wasn't even looking for it. Boom. I'm talking about, I passed him the ball. I didn't take one shot the whole summer. Every time he held his hand up, I threw it to him. And rest in peace, Pete Newell, the big man, Camp Newell. He said, Shaq, can you imagine playing with that every night? And I go back to the room like, I got to keep doing this. I got to keep working on this. And every time he'll tell you, man, he never shot the ball. You damn right I didn't shoot that ball because every time you raised the arm up, I was auditioning, bro. I had to get it done. And I did. I got it done.
Straight up. So how many teams did you work out to go in the draft?
I worked out with Golden State and I worked out with Orlando. Those were the only 2 teams. Golden State had number 3, Philadelphia had 2, and Orlando had 1.
You could tell Philly been fucking up as a team that's a top 3 pick since the early 90s. Sheesh. We thought the Markelle Fultz and Jason Tatum situation was bad.
The first time I went to Orlando, Shaq had called him and told him, hey man, get this dude down there. No, they actually called me down there first. That was the first time. And I went down there and there was nobody at the airport to pick me up. So it was one anchor dude. It was one anchor dude down there to interview me. I was like, man, who is this dude? I said, man, bro, nobody picked me up. Can you take me to the arena? That was when it was the arena.
Yeah, the old
I said, but before we go, can you stop by McDonald's? So I'm in the car with the dude. We chopping it up. We eat McDonald's. He dropped me off at the arena, and all I did was vertical leap, a little shuttle, did some stuff like that they would do at the combine. I never saw nobody in management or nothing, and then I left.
Now that right there shows you how different the league is today. There's no player coming into the draft eating McDonald's before his workout. Oh man. The way we see players train and just take care of their bodies and just have an overall better understanding, this is why we're seeing guys last until their late 30s, and even LeBron James looking like he's in his prime in his 40s. Let's hope it's not no PEDs though, but he's an outlier. But most other players without those genetics, if they take care of their bodies and stay on top of everything, guys could still really be effective. I would say up until age 37. There will be more Jimmy Butlers getting $100 million deals into their late 30s.
When I got back to the movie, I told Shaq, I was like, bro, they just took me in there and just took some measurements or whatever. But the dude that picked me up from the airport and took me to the McDonald's was Stuart Scott, bro. It ended up being Stuart Scott.
What?
That's crazy. He was the only.
Rest in peace, Stuart Scott, man. The original ESPN personality, Stephen A. Smith, he would never be allowed to do what he does on the air had that not been for Stuart Scott. That guy was definitely a pioneer, and ESPN was fighting him on showing too much personality. He's definitely a legend when it comes to the on-air personalities.
He was in Orlando doing anchor work, and I didn't know who he was. And he was like, yeah, my name's Stuart. And it ended up being Stuart. We laughed about that our whole careers, bro. Rest in peace, Stuart Scott.
That's the great,
the great
Stuart Scott. Damn, that's crazy.
Hey, that's cooler than the other side of the
come
pillow,
on now. So I went back and told the big homie. I said, big homie, oh, they tripping. They didn't even bring me in to do nothing. He called back down. They know Shaq. Yo, what's up? What y'all doing down there? Y'all need to get him back down there. So about a week, 2-3 weeks later, they brought me back and I scrimmaged against the team. They had Anthony Bowie guard me, and Dennis was in there, Nick was in there, all my, everybody except for Shaq. And I put on, and they loved everything about it. And I was already doing with Shaq what I needed to do, and it just worked, bro. It worked.
Now, Penny Hardaway right here is going to tell the story of how his Nike deal came about and how they organized themselves to come up with that commercial with Little Penny. And make no mistake about it, that Little Penny commercial was used as a blueprint because LeBron James in the mid-2000s had a very similar Nike ad, except he played himself in a lot of different alter egos. I'm talking about the commercial where he had the afro, the smooth talking guy, and then he had different versions of himself jumping off the dive board into the pool. That ad is really coming off the blueprint of the Penny Hardaway and Chris Rock ads. And just to add more context into that Nike deal, Penny Hardaway shoes in the 90s retailed for $200. At the time, it was almost $70 more than most Air Jordans retailed for. So the collaboration between Penny Hardaway and Nike has always bared fruits even back then. And it's been one of the better success stories for a player having his own signature shoe that most players, even current day, haven't even reached up to.
Do you remember where you were? Well, I don't know whether it was Nike or your agent when they came to you and said that you're gonna get your own shoe.
Yeah, I was in Orlando, man.
Give you your...
Yeah, I was in Orlando and I was kicking. And just probably after a practice, my agent called me and was like, Nike want to meet. I'm like, all right, when we're going to Oregon or they coming here? They're like, no, we going to Oregon. I said, cool. I said, damn, that's a long ass flight. He said, man, get your ass on that plane and get to Oregon.
Right.
You know how long that flight is? And I was like, cool. I got on the plane.
Especially from Florida.
Yeah, got all the way out there. And then all of a sudden we walk in the room. I'm seeing a lot of people. I'm like, damn. All right, what's up, everybody? I sit down at the table. They go, Penny, we brought you here because it's time for us to bust out the Air Penny 1. I said, Air Penny 1, what? What are you talking about? They were like, no, we about to give you your own shoe. I said, oh, man, I think I got up, walked out like, dog, I'm a sneakerhead. I'm about to have my own shoe? You can't even dream this stuff up. I'm like, dog, this going for me in a row, like how it goes for guys that, it ain't happening like that every day for people like they walk into Nike and go, you got your own shoe, because my rookie year, I wore 7 or 8 different styles of Nikes, from the Air Up to the regular Nike to I wore the J's with the number 1 on the back, all that, all the different shoes.
That's how much Penny Hardaway was balling out. Usually you see guys on Michael Jordan or LeBron's level to get their own signature shoe right away early into their career. Even Kobe didn't really get his signature shoe until almost 8 to 9 years in. But the way Penny Hardaway was playing, that shit was undeniable, even with Shaq on the court.
And to get my own shoe, I was like, dude, this is crazy. This is crazy. I couldn't believe it.
So to go from that to like, tell me about when you saw like the samples of the models and then all the way to the point to where they telling you like, you about to do this Lil Penny commercial.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just wanted my shoe to be a shoe that you can wear on and off the court. Just like everybody rock the J's. You can hoop in them, and you can rock them with sweats, with shorts, whatever. I was like, as long as my shoe can be represented off the court, just like it can be represented on the court, I'm good with that. Because I didn't just want a sneaker just strictly for the court that nobody would wear off the court. And they did a brilliant job, man. They brought the samples, looked at the samples, was like, yeah, this joint is nice. They can rock these off the court. And Nike did a phenomenal job on that line.
Yeah, nah.
Well, I had a Little Penny doll. Like I can't even find it no more. But I had a Little Penny doll. I went and bought me a little. Well, my mom bought me a Little Penny doll.
And that was crazy.
How was it to hearing that they was gonna go with a Little Penny doll and start doing like your commercial? Your commercial is some of the most iconic commercials ever
I appreciate y'all.
been done in the basketball history.
Yeah. So for me, it was they sat me down, and it was like, we know you're a quiet assassin, because I wasn't really a trash talker unless somebody started with me, and then you can go back and forth. I was just hooping and just trying to destroy dudes. It wasn't no talking, it was just let's get to business. So they're like, we're gonna get somebody that's gonna talk trash for you. And his name gonna be Lil Penny, and he's gonna be a doll. And they told me the concept, I laughed, and I was like, dude, we gotta do that, because that's gonna be so dope. This little dude talking all the shit, and then I'm just gonna go back it up.
Right.
I ain't gonna say nothing, but he gonna do all the talking. I thought that was dope.
You know, a few times in NBA history, a couple of cross-marketing opportunities kind of came around at a perfect timing. We seen it in the 1980s with the Bad Boy Pistons and the Oakland Raiders hat. And also at the time, the NWA group kind of came about and they used the same Raiders colors as branding. And right here, Penny Hardaway just getting into the league, a comedian was on the rise by the name of Chris Rock. And those two forces came together just at the right time.
Well, Eddie Murphy and Martin and Damon Wayans, was them the ones that they was trying to get to be the voice first?
I think they was trying. I definitely know about Damon Wayans and Martin Lawrence. I don't know about Eddie Murphy, but they could have, and they all turned it down. It wasn't big enough for them because them dudes was the dudes back then. Chris Rock really wasn't.
Super, yeah.
So when Chris Rock did it, he was like a not well known at the time, and when he did the Little Penny voice, it definitely helped get him to where he was going.
Like I remember it, like when them commercials dropped, like they was like the biggest thing. So like, how was that for you? Because it was like, not only do you already got a dope shoe that's coming out, and clearly the shoe was doing numbers in the stores. Because I remember that was like the only shoe that dropped that was like could compete with the Jordans for prices and stuff like that. And it was like this for a second with y'all with the J's and the pennies. Pennies really had that type of vibe. So like when did Nike call y'all like, man, the commercials are going crazy. We got to do more. Like this is like, we didn't think it would be this big of a deal. Like, yeah, like for marketing, like they hit like a super crazy home run. How was that when they started to see those results? Like, how did you hear about it from that side?
Yeah, there was an advertising agency called Whiten and Kennedy. And there was a guy that worked with them named Stacy Wall. He was the guy that kind of helped create the Little Penny deal. And Nike's so strategic on how they do things. They always capitalize at the right time. So they didn't want to flood it, but they wanted to put enough out where everybody stayed hungry, and then it became a thing. So that's why they're so smart and so brilliant. They didn't want to just make 15 commercials and go boom, 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 boom. They basically was like, we're going to piece it out there and make people be hungry for it. And that worked. So when the numbers and everything went through the roof, it was like, okay, it's time to make another one.
You know, it's interesting because Nike seems like they were a lot more creative without social media back then. Nowadays, because the social media kind of serves as a crutch, there's the marketing side of the shoes and just the newer athletes coming in, even though they had their own popularity before joining Nike or any other shoe brand, it just seems like they rely too much on someone else's following in order for that shoe to translate. And plus the designs have to be on point. Nowadays, we're seeing a lot of alterations of what looks like a Kobe low-top shoe just alternated.
And when that went through the roof, okay, it's time to make another one. So they were just really smart about how they did that.
When he said, that's Tyra Banks, fool. When you did the Tyra Banks commercial out of all that, how hard did you laugh when you heard him say that?
Man, you know, he was never in the studio with me. I just heard the voiceovers. I couldn't get through the commercial. every time I heard what he said, they was like, all right, cut, start over. I said, my bad, bro. I don't know what he gonna say, but when he say something, I was just gonna laugh. And it took me a minute to make my commercial because everything he said, I was like laughing. And they was like, yo, you can't laugh. You got to get through it. I was like, cool, all right. And I finally got used to it, but in the beginning, bro, it was tripping me out.
That's crazy.
Who came up with the ideal of MJ wearing your shoe and you wearing MJ's shoe in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think when I wore MJ's shoes, it was, before he came back. And then when he came back, they didn't have an Air Jordan that was available because he didn't make one. And then he was like, well, he called me kid. Give me kid shoes. Like, that's what he called me, kid. I'm gonna get these shoes, right? So he rocked them joints, and I was still sitting out there going, this man got my shoes on. Was he cut the number 1 off the back? But he just kept the shoes. He was like, I'm just gonna cut the number 1 off the back. I thought that was crazy because he's never worn another shoe outside of Air Jordan.
That's what I'm saying.
Never.
Like, when you, like, what is that like hearing that MJ about to wear your signature shoe, bro?
But I'm gonna tell you this, I didn't know he was gonna wear them. That's how much respect he had. I got in the game, free throw, and I looked down, like, damn. He got on the shoes, like, I'm tripping. I saw that, I was like, oh, we gonna beat him.
The media at the time, they kind of used that as a flame for Michael Jordan because even though when he first came back, he lost to Penny and Shaq in the playoffs, he wasn't really physically ready. Going into the start of the next very season, without Shaq, Penny Hardaway was able to defeat Michael Jordan. And then the media started creating a narrative that Penny has completely taken Jordan's spot. That's how amazing Penny Hardaway was at the time. But as we've seen in the Last Dance documentary, Michael Jordan loves to find hate to use as fuel as motivation. So in the 96 playoffs, he completely shut Shaq and Penny down. I mean, these guys couldn't even get the ball up half court. That's how much the defense between him and Scottie and just the Bulls overall was just so dominant.
He ain't going to get nobody's shoes.
Did you say something to him?
Hell no. I let him do whatever. I let him be. Hell no. I said, no, I'm going to leave. I'm going to let a sleeping dog lie. Go ahead, MJ. I appreciate you rocking them joints. I ain't say nothing about the shoes. I ain't say nothing. I'm like, I'm not bothering this dude. Let him be.
These are one of my most favorite shoes ever made by Nike. Is the foam posits.
Yes, sir.
Like,
they did an excellent job.
Them shoes, something about them shoes, they give me the feeling of the patent leather Jordans. They so unique and they so outside the norm of any other shoe that's ever really been made.
They look very futuristic even today. Shoes are not made with that type of material and they don't even look like that. You can even look at all the models of the LeBron shoes throughout his whole career. None of them add up to the one design of the foam posits.
Reason I hate it so much because they don't make foam posits in size 18.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They go up to like a 15 or a 16 or so forth on like that.
Yeah.
But tell us the story of how foam posits came into play. I heard it supposed to have been for another player, but you wind up seeing them and taking, and you look at them today like, man, foam posits go from $1,000 to $10,000 to $15,000 at this point now, but it's like the icing on the cake for the whole Penny collection is with the foam posits. So tell us the story about the foam posit.
Yeah, they never told me until way later that the foams was probably for Scottie and Scottie didn't like them.
Wow, Scottie Pippen is fucking crazy. Not only he signed that 10-year bad contract, he made the mistake of not choosing the foam posits. Oh man, Scottie's been taking L's left and right for most of his career. God damn, he passed up the foam posits.
Liked them right away when they showed them to me.
Scottie?
Yeah, I think Scottie was supposed to have been the one that got showed the foams first because he's champion, 6-time champion.
Yeah. No, I definitely
he deserved
get it.
all that.
No, we not never questioned it. I'm just,
hey,
I've never known that was supposed to be for him.
I never talked to Scottie about that. Me and Scottie close, but I never talked to him about the foam because they didn't tell me right away. But I'm gonna ask him one day, like, yo, because Scottie Pippen Jr. plays here in Memphis, so he comes to a lot of the games. I'm gonna ask him one day, but. When I saw the shoe, I loved it right away because I was like, this is something different. Anything different, I was going to rock.
Yeah.
And I instantly loved them right away, and I put them on, and the rest is history.
Yeah,
that's like thinking about that, like you said earlier, like, you know, you a sneakerhead. For you to get your own, you know, your own sneaker, your signature shoe, looking back at it and seeing how the sneaker community, and then even when you think about that time, I don't know shoes tales or nothing like that, but I know in that era, amongst the hood, like your shoe was probably like one of the only shoes that legitimately could say, I competed with the Air Jordan. There was some people that liked it over the Air Jordan. It was a conversation, it was an argument, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Man, that price point told you everything you already needed to know. Those shoes retail for $200 back in the 90s. Most of Michael Jordan's shoes, the retail was under $130. So you're looking at almost a $70 markup, and it was still selling.
nobody else could really say that. Like, and then when you look at the whole line you didn't put together, like I remember I was over at Jeff's house one day. He had some penny box, like all of the like, it's crazy. Like when you look at that, you know, the lineup you put together, like how did that make you feel in retrospect? Like now, you know, you got 20/20 hindsight, sneakerhead, but you like embroiled in the whole sneaker community with one of the toughest shoes. You know what I'm saying? Like how that feel?
Yeah, no, that's crazy, man, because I am a sneakerhead, and just to see the whole line, you know, to have all the pennies with all the phones, with everything that they've done, with the collabs, with everything, I couldn't even imagine that, bro. They went crazy with it because Nike's always about evolving and even like moving on with my sneakers and the colorways and everything that goes along with that sneaker, man. It is just, it's crazy just seeing that whole line, just from the first penny all the way through everything, every foam, and how it's just lasted through the times with the sneakerheads, and it's even more popular now than even what it was back when we first started rocking them joints.
Way crazy. So crazy that they stealing them off your porch, ain't it? Like, how crazy?
Man, they stole my Slam magazine joints, man.
How did that happen? Like, what was you, when you found out they stole them off the porch?
Yeah, so it wasn't. So I'm gonna tell you what happened. I think it was true setup for me because it was a delivery. I have a gate, and my house sits like 100 yards off the street.
Right.
They know not to ever leave anything outside my gate because they know that people will come through there or whatever. You know how it is. These poachers, they stealing packages all day.
Yes.
They put 27 boxes on the outside wall. Everybody driving down my street can see these boxes.
Yeah, the fix was in on that. They knew what those shoes were, and they probably knew that was your house. Oh my God, who the hell would put 27 boxes outside of someone's gate? That's crazy.
My house is 100 yards back. They didn't hit the phone. They didn't try to hit anybody to say, hey, you at home? If you're not at home, we're going to bring these back tomorrow because this is such a big delivery. They put them Jones outside, like basically on the street, like you put your trash on the street.
It was like coming to America.
And all of them joints was a one-of-one Slam magazine collab that they only did Bronze Shoe and Sabrina Ionescu. Our three shoes were the only ones that collabed, and it was a crazy colorway. Dang. And this one dude come through there with a damn grocery store basket. And I tell you, that dude walked down the street with all kind of boxes and baskets and stuff, man. How he pushed that stuff down the street and got away with it.
Made it do what it do.
He made it do what it do.
That's unreal, bro.
That was crazy. But yeah, that's bonkers. But Nike, respect and love to Nike, they remade all those shoes and they're sending them back to me. So, because those were one-on-ones. Yeah. Those aren't going to be going to the market.
Damn, those are going to the market. They're going to the resale market, getting flipped for about $7,000 a piece. Somebody came up off of that. Now, Penny also touched base on how him and Shaq broke up. And at the time, the Orlando Magic, they were just a brand new expansion franchise. So their front office dealing with free agency was still a brand new thing. And free agency overall in the NBA, I believe in the 80s, for 7 years, the players had fought through litigation to get the privilege of even having that. But the way Shaq was available on the open market, the Magic did not understand that they had to come the first few times correct, or another team would eventually make moves to do so. Situations like this have to be handled very delicately, especially with the media trying to pin Penny Hardaway and Shaq against each other. And this is a game that they continue to use even today. We see Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown be pinned against each other even before they won the championship and experienced success. They did the same thing to Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid when they were in Philadelphia. Overall, it's a tactic that the media has always ran against co-stars just to draw up some headlines. Unfortunately for the Orlando Magic, just being a brand new franchise, They didn't have any experience navigating through those treacherous waters.
Top lock Kenny and say, you ain't coming out here, you got to go that way.
Right.
I would have switched it up, but at the end of the day, that's what happened. But then the next game, it was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And King, man, this left hand tip out of nowhere, like under here and hit it. That jump went in to win the game. After that, we was just demoralized at that point, man. Like, damn, bro, it's a wrap.
So the next year, Shaq get hurt most of the year. You know what I'm saying? And you have to take a leadership role into stepping up your game even more because you don't have the big
Going
fella
crazy.
as much as you had. Y'all win 60 games that year.
Yeah.
You know, win 60
went
games.
off.
And then, again, you meet the Bulls. You know they was coming back for revenge. What was that next series like when Jordan with a full season playing against y'all?
Jordan, once again, he had all the fire that he needed because the media to open up that season after their matchup against the Bulls without Shaq, in which Penny dominated, they started to put out articles saying that Penny has taken Jordan's place. So going into the playoffs in 1996, this was a way different Bulls team than it was in Jordan's return from the 1995 playoffs.
Well, he say this. I just want to insert this in here. I was 17 at the time. I was at the crib. I probably was as ready as y'all were for this rematch of this series. go ahead, Penny. I wasn't in it. I was sitting in my front room, but I was ready. Go ahead.
Hey, so it's...
And just to add more context to this series right here doesn't get talked about too much. It's the way they lost, the way Michael Jordan just shut down this team. I'm pretty sure Shaq might have understood that, hey, we're not going to get past these guys anytime soon. Because Michael Jordan looked like he returned right back into form. And just the way the Orlando Magic mentally had broken down in the finals, they knew it was over and there was no coming back. Mentally, how Nick Anderson broke down, especially with missing the free throws and just his overall aura, that had a trickle-down effect on the rest of the team.
It's like this, bro. When you have your moment, like we talked about when I had my moment, you got to be ready for it. Them boys was ready for their moment the second time around. They was mad from the year before. Shaq and B. Shaw putting hearts on it. The MJ ain't forgot nothing. He done went the whole summer eating raw eggs and raw steaks and man, and got into the Tai Chi and everything. That boy went crazy all summer and was like, all right, I'm getting them next time. So Shaq was hurt. Nick got hurt. Somebody else might have been hurt. And we went in like the first game kind of okay. And then after that, everybody started getting injured. They swept us, bro. They took us out. And after that, it was like Shaq was gone. Everything left. It's like MJ destroyed the whole franchise behind us beating his ass the year before.
Yeah.
The reason why it was over because the Orlando Magic, just like a lot of young teams, they were used to dominating. And when things got real tight, real close, mentally, they were not strong enough to get up to the next level. That's what you really seen from Michael Jordan in The Last Dance. You seen what was perceived as mental abuse on his teammates, the way he was yelling at them, but in reality, he was getting them prepared for mental warfare on the court in order to get to that championship level. That's what the Orlando Magic were missing. And the 1995 NBA Finals showcased that. Once they went down 0-2, Nick Anderson missing the free throws, they were not mentally ready to hold their composure when shit got tight. And it just all imploded at the end when they met up with the Bulls in the 96 playoffs in that revenge match where that defense completely shut them down. I mean, if you go back and look at the footage, you can see a lot of scenarios where guys couldn't even get the ball across half court. The Bulls defense just had the clamps on them.
Tell us about that. Like Shaq transitioning into leaving, the organization not giving him the type of money that he felt he wanted and he deserved, leaving something that y'all had so special. Like the last couple of years, y'all went to the finals and y'all went to the Eastern Conference final. It can't be nothing but championship next. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Y'all don't have nothing to lose. It got to be championship next. But then one of y'all biggest pieces leave the scene. How was that for you to see how that played out?
Well, that was the summer that we had the Dream Team, and we were practicing in Orlando at Disney World. That's where our practice facility was. We met there and just was practicing. And the articles I was reading in the paper, bro, you know, we had young fans who didn't know any better. We had immature beat writers that were just kind of ragging on Shaq because he couldn't make free throws, right? So they was like, we don't think Shaq deserves the money that he's saying that he deserves because he can't make free throws in the clutch. Why would you pay somebody that much money? And I'm like, are y'all kidding me?
Again, pay attention to the media landscape. This is a brand new infantile franchise that doesn't really necessarily know how to navigate through all these scenarios. Why would they come at Shaq and give him a low ball offer? It makes no sense. You're getting all this negative press from your local media saying that Orlando does not need Shaq.
Y'all gotta chill, and that pissed Shaq off. So if he wasn't looking to go anywhere, at that point, the Lakers and Jerry West came in and was like, hey, big fella, they don't appreciate you down there. Come on out here to LA and let us kind of show you what it's like. And Orlando is a beautiful city, but when you go to the City of Angels, bro, and they start throwing out their movie contracts and all these endorsements, and you playing for the Lakers,
different ball
hook, line,
game.
and sinker, man, they got them. And I'm sitting in the press conference in Atlanta with all the international media, plus the American media, all the media there. It's so many media people. And this guy, I don't know what country he was from, he was like, how does it feel not to have Shaquille O'Neal as a teammate anymore? I didn't know that. I was
that
like,
was when you first found out.
Yeah, I was like, if that's the case, then that would be devastating. And then I'm looking around at Scotty and Grant and them, they looking at me like, and bro, after that was over, I found out that Shaq had left. That's the way I found out. And he came to my room the next day and was like, I apologize, bro, but I had to do it. And I was done.
Damn, Penny was done for a number of reasons that he didn't even know at the time. He's about to take on a lot of workload as far as maintaining that winning streak that the Orlando Magic had, getting to the conference finals, trying to get back to the finals. It's going to take a toll on his body, and a lot of that workload was absorbed by Shaq. That doesn't get talked about enough. Shaq just leaving Orlando, it put a different kind of workload on Penny's body, and that's why he probably broke down.
Man, that's 1-2 punch, man. That was crazy, man. That's devastating.
Like how was
Yes,
how was it when you got back to the team after that? Like how did the team atmosphere feel? Like when you had the games, how did the games feel? Did everything feel like it kind of shifted and changed after big fella left?
Bro, when Shaq left, damn doorknob on the building was breaking off and shit. Motherfuckers, thank you. Everything in that motherfucker started breaking down. Hey man, we ain't got no ice, man. What ice at, bro? Hey, everything, we went straight to we went straight back to where we started, bro. It was like an expansion team all over again. It was like, damn.
Hell yeah, man. They got that expansion shit hovering over their heads. They got hit with the Holy Trinity, man. They broke down mentally in the finals. They broke down again mentally against Jordan and the Chicago Bulls in the 96 playoffs, and then they lost Shaq. It was over. It was over.
We went from the Beatles to, man, just being just some dude that was trying to make it. Like, we trying to give you our mixtape.
Back in the
day.
day.
Bro,
Man, they went to becoming a SoundCloud rapper, man. What's going on here?
it went that bad, though. It went bad. We knew it did. It went down fast, bro. It wasn't even like a slow grind. We competed a little bit, but it went from 60 to 41 to 42 to 45. It was like we knew the magnitude of what had happened, man.
And you've seen it in the teams that's playing against you. They like, oh yeah, I don't got Shaq, so we don't fear nothing that y'all got going on.
Oh, come on. It's like when we first went to Chicago, and I'm gonna go back to what you just said. Man, me and Shaq out in the clubs kicking it because MJ, they was like, one dude in the club said, oh, I bet if Black was here, y'all ass would be in the bed. I said, you right, but he ain't here. So we gonna kick it tonight. And the Bulls beat the hell out of us the next night. Ron Harper, Scottie Pippen, they still beat us. We was in there kicking it like they ain't got MJ, and they still played a good game. So when it came to our game, you had to take your ass to bed when you came to Orlando because you was playing against us. When Shaq left, them boys, man, probably stayed up to 3 or 4 in the morning before they played us. Like, man, it's a wrap. They ain't got it no more. And they went at us too.
They smell blood, man.
They did smell blood.
Like you said, you was on the select team, which was crazy, playing against Dream Team. How was it when they called you and they say, we want you to be on Dream Team 2?
Man, come on.
Like you just like you say, you hitting all the accolades and the things. Like what was that call? Like we know, like you say, that's a different call than all NBA, then all star. Like that's a different type of badge when you in the league. Like that's like you become an Avenger. You become one of the Marvel, you know what I'm saying, the superheroes out here.
Yeah, because back then it wasn't just no tryouts and everybody going to see if they can make it like nowadays.
Exactly.
Right? You had to actually be selected. And then that is the ultimate respect level for your game when they say we want you to be on the dream team.
Damn, that's still early into Penny's career. Man, like I said before, he is Kobe before Kobe.
And man, I was like the way that it was going for me, man, it was unbelievable because we was rolling. We was winning in Orlando. Yeah. You get drafted. You're on the select team in college. All these things to get your own shoe and then to get put on the dream team. Bro, I was loving every minute of it, man. I was like a little kid, man. I was going around Stockton to GP to Hakeem to Scotty to Mitch Richmond to Reggie, all them boys, man. I was taking it all. Shaq, Charles, Karl Malone. Every practice, I'm walking up to them dudes and just saying something, bro, because I wanted to soak in all of it. You know, I did. And that was a great moment for me.
Let me ask you this, because we had DC on here. Can Dream Team 2 beat Dream Team 1? You done played against both of them.
You know what's so crazy is I had this conversation with Draymond Green talking about that because he's been on a couple Olympic teams, right? And I was like, we're not going to disrespect the OGs. We're going to get them, they say, and we're going to let the OGs rest and say that the original Dream Team is the best team ever. For us, we know we can compete with anybody, but just on a respect level, we're going to get them dudes. They just do because they put in a lot of work, so.
And also, it doesn't get talked about too much. That Dream Team was the beginning of the passing of the torch. See, Larry Bird in a few clips that had got out, you could see him slowly admitting it. It's MJ's time, but Magic Johnson was fighting it. He was fighting it. But a lot of the guys from the 80s, their time was beginning to wind down.
Disrespecting them, you know what I mean? We got lucky as the college players, but as far as, now, you got to know who we had and who they had. It's right there, but we got too many legends on that team that I love and respect.
I tell you, I like the respect factor right there. Listen, tell me about when you first hurt your knee at 97. What was the original injury that you had that started off the knee injury stuff?
Man, we playing the Pistons in the first round of the playoffs, and I'm about to go for a rebound, and Joe Dumars tried to come and wedge me in, but when he came in there, he kneed me right in the back of my knee, like right on that bone, and I felt it right away. I was like, damn, but I kept playing. You know, you got the adrenaline and everything, and I kept playing. I finished that series. I finished the next series, and then I'm like, after it was over with, it wasn't really as bad anymore. So I went home, chilled the whole summer, and was hooping, and there wasn't nothing wrong. And right before training camp, I think I played with a torn meniscus the whole summer, bro. It was crazy. As soon as I got to training camp, I was like, damn, my knee back hurting like it was, you know, when Joe hit me, and
This situation shows you how most NBA franchises over the years, the medical care has definitely improved 10x. Because the way superstars have so much value to their franchise, they would never ever let one of their star players just over the summer have a torn meniscus and not even know it. They're constantly checking up on these guys and putting them through a lot of testing, making sure that they're good to go.
MRI, I didn't do no MRI, nothing over the summer. Got back before the season started and bro had to have surgery. It was torn. And that's when everything started going downhill from there.
Yeah,
but that's what happened. Joe hit me. He don't even know he did that. I never talked to Joe about that to this day. But he hit me perfectly right in the back of my knee, like on the lateral side. And it was right on that bone, bro. It just felt so bad at the time. And I was like, bro, something wrong. And then I just kept playing and it just went away.
Once again, a brand new expansion franchise makes you wonder how much money they really put into their medical staff. But overall, at the time, a player didn't necessarily make or break his franchise to the degree it does today. I mean, even LeBron James going back to Cleveland, that franchise net worth had jumped up almost $500 million. That just wasn't the case back then.
And right when the season was about to start, found out it was torn.
The NBA go on strike and then they come back for the 50 games, but you're back healthy now and you dominating. But what was different when you came back after that strike that you didn't have before you got hurt?
I didn't have the same explosion. Even though it was like my first injury, I still felt you're gonna feel a little weird.
Yeah.
Because it's like you got that residue still kind of left over from the surgeries. Even though they give you 3 to 6 weeks, it might take 8, 9 weeks. So in the beginning, I was kind of rusty, a little step slower, wasn't trusting it. And then as the season went on, I got better and better. But I still scored the ball because I posted up. I scored at a high clip in the post.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have to have everything to be down there. I just had the length and the size.
Shoot right
and
over.
Scoring in that midi. I went to the mid-range game and became one of them type of players. But yeah, that's what changed. I kind of wasn't flying up and down the floor like I was before I got injured until later. I just kind of used the mid post and the post area to kind of get me through until I got back healthier.
When did you know, like, all right, it's time for me to leave? Orlando, you know, this chapter is over with. Like, did you choose to leave? Did they tell you were leaving, or did you just get traded? How did it all go down when you got traded?
No, they wanted me to stay. That's when Doc Rivers came in and was the coach. But I felt so disrespected because they did me like they did Shaq kind of. It was a young fan base. The media was like, you know, is Penny worth this? Is Penny worth that? It went back to that, like how they did Shaq. And I was like, bro, I'm blood, sweat, and tears in this joint. As much as I won, you know, I want to be respected. And again, once you let somebody get away and be wined and dined by somebody else, it could always seem better, especially when you bitter or you feel like you're being disrespected. Come on over here. We know how to treat you, bro. If they ain't treating you right, we got you. And I got with Jason Kidd, and Jay Kidd was like, man, let's go ahead and do this. And I was like, that'd be a dope backcourt. So I went to Phoenix.
And once again, Orlando, being a brand new expansion franchise, maybe they wanted him to go, but they seem to have an issue not understanding certain dynamics with the media and just overall player sentiment. Even to this day, most franchises fear what happened to the Magic when it came to Shaq. It has even gone as far as letting things be too one-sided, with players asking for trades, franchises making sure that they can get something back in exchange. We've seen during the mid-2010s how players really got their way no matter what they did. Guys like James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, etc.
How was it playing with Jay Kidd? Like, Jay Kidd is one of the NBA players that I always wanted to get an opportunity to play with. But how was it, you know, getting the opportunity to play with Jay Kidd and seeing his IQ and the way he play and the way he lead a team?
Yeah, easy, bro. It was easy to play with him because, like you said, his IQ was so high. One of the fastest dudes in the league.
Yes.
Fearless, relentless, competitive, warrior, all that above. That dude can will a team to a win without even scoring. Just from his playmaking and his defense and his awareness and all the stuff that he had going. So he made my game easier, man. All I did was just, you know, got in the car and rode with him, you know what I mean? So he was healthier than me, but I still had enough to kind of help him or whatever. But I kind of rode that wave, man. Dude was a monster. He could get it done.
But it is what it is. It's great to hear from an NBA legend like Penny Hardaway. Definitely one of a kind. Kobe before Kobe, Mr. 1 Cent, Mr. Orlando Magic. And there's a lot of repercussions from this storyline that still play out, even to this day, with franchises being scared to losing homegrown stars for nothing, and all the way up to the way Nike still markets and promotes certain athletes, especially their merchandising. The history of the phone posits still has impact to this day, as Nike definitely used that blueprint to advertise for LeBron James in the early part of his career. So it's good to hear from Penny Hardaway. There should have definitely been a longer segment in the Last Dance doc of Jordan just using the Orlando Magic as motivation after his comeback in '95. So as LeBron James continues to go through the latter part of his career and begins to make his exit from the league, a lot of his plants that were sprinkled throughout the media have begun to backtrack on the GOAT conversations, knowing that the conversation is becoming less and less relevant. And just taking a step back, ever since LeBron James had lifted the Cavaliers to a 2016 championship over the Warriors, a lot of media members latched themselves onto him, understanding the economy that was about to be built around LeBron and possibly being the GOAT. Remember, at the time, Kevin Durant did not join the Warriors yet. Things were definitely lined up for LeBron to perhaps get 3 to 4 more championships. And just like the days when Michael Jordan had his reign, a lot of media members who were around and attached themselves to him, like Skip Bayless, Michael Wilbon, Sam Smith, who wrote the Jordan Rules, and many others, they all understood that there was always going to be an economy to hear their stories, whether they write books or make guest appearances on shows. So the same thing has played out during LeBron's time in the NBA, but unfortunately for his plants in the media, there will be no cash out besides the first take debate culture that took place while he was in the league. And in this segment, we'll hear from one of his apologists in the media, one of his many plants that was sprinkled in that always ruled things in favor of him being the GOAT, now backtracking. You guys check it out, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
LeBron wasn't willing And this is what killed it, according to John Hollinger. He wasn't willing to leave $52 million on the table for a mid-level exemption. So now think about that. LeBron's a billionaire. He's a billionaire. And my take is with LeBron, Rich Paul told us it was all about winning. It's not anymore.
It hasn't been about winning for a while. Ever since he arrived to LA, it's been about brand building. You see that billionaire status Cowherd just mentioned? A lot of it was built through the connections that he made while he's down there in LA. It's not ironic that TNT's parent company, Warner Brothers, had helped funded LeBron James's media company, in which he has launched multiple podcasts and different shows. And the move to LA has been very lucrative for LeBron James, and even his celebrity, not necessarily him as a basketball player, but the celebrity of LeBron James has even reached a higher point than it did even after winning the championship in Cleveland. So this move has been about brand building ever since he's arrived in LA.
I think Michael Jordan's still in his head. He knows in the basketball community, with basketball fans, he's never going to catch MJ. MJ is 6 for 6. MJ is more memorable. MJ's got the logo, the brand, and sells more shoes. He's more romanticized. Michael Jordan, there are a dozen plays to this day that you close your eyes and think about, and you can see Michael Jordan.
Now for LeBron, I'm going to shoot him some bail here. In an era of social media, the mystique factor is going to be very, very hard to pull off. And also, LeBron's greatness is really off the court and the way he has handled the business side of the game, making Maverick Carter and Rich Paul almost business extensions of himself. See, NBA players before LeBron James, they used to come in, cash a bunch of checks, go to the club, mess with some thotties, and they had a whole entourage, and that was it. And then eventually you'll hear them being broke. But LeBron James came into the league with a king mindset. He leveraged his Nike deal to make sure that Rich Paul was in a position where he could learn about the business side of sports. He even got a gig working alongside Leon Rose, LeBron's agent at the time, and he learned the business side of being an agent. And eventually we see them now with Clutch Sports. We see Maverick Carter running the media side of the business. LeBron James is putting on a master class on how to set things up for not only himself, but his friends and even his family members, as we see his son getting into the league and also getting paid guaranteed money. LeBron James understands him standing alone as a financial entity won't really make a lot of sense, because eventually one person doing it all on his own is really a house built on shaky ground. So that's LeBron's GOATness, which supersedes anything that any player could ever do on the court.
Do it unless you're driving. With LeBron, there's one. That chase down block against the Warriors. That's it. And so I think at LeBron at this point, he's never going to catch him. He's never going to catch him in net worth. MJ's net worth is $3.5 billion. LeBron, even with the massive money he's paid, is $1 billion.
Now, kudos to LeBron. He is younger, and he has a lot more tools in his arsenal due to the landscape overall around the world, especially with the NBA trying to go global, and also with the power of social media, being able to become his own entity and broadcast himself. LeBron post-retirement, do not be shocked, because we're definitely going to continue to hear his name. Do not be shocked if he branches out and begins to form his own league. There's a lot of sovereign money in the Middle East, and they're looking to rebrand their region. Countries like Qatar did it in the World Cup in 2022 and successfully pulled it off. And they're looking for major figures who have a lot of cultural pull, like LeBron James does at this very moment. You mix that in with all the cash that they have and also streaming. This could create a whole new monster that we've never seen before. And Michael Jordan did not have these tools at his arsenal when he first retired with all that cultural capital. We sort of watched all that relevance that he had as soon as he retired in '98 just kind of go by the wayside. Even though he still remembered, but there just wasn't a way for him to cash in with all that relevance in the same way that LeBron James can do right now with streaming, with sports leagues trying to go global, and with certain countries in the Middle East trying to rebrand themselves, and is willing to throw a ton of money and formulate their own leagues using major cultural figures. Magic Johnson tried to pull this off in the early 90s when he went to Sweden. Then he ended up owning a team, but then we never heard of it again. I'm assuming phone calls were made, and right now he's still an ambassador of the NBA. So LeBron James has a lot more tools in his belt that he can use today that Michael Jordan would dream of back then in 98.
That's why he wants to own a basketball team. I think he's chasing Michael. And here's the difference.
That right there is the only flaw about LeBron James's career. Doing Space Jam 2, always kind of making it seem he's chasing Michael Jordan's ghost. LeBron James is his own man. He should have always branded it that he's just being him. Because once again, what he might end up getting into post-retirement is going to supersede anything any NBA player could ever do on the court. Do not be shocked if you hear that he's a multi-billionaire and he's part owner of a league that's making noise and eating up some of the NBA's market share. The sovereign money in the Middle East have very deep pockets that the NBA could only dream of. And this could create a dynamic where we see NBA players in their early 30s getting large contracts to go elsewhere, sort of like the ABA came in and ate up some of the NBA's market share back in the 70s.
Michael Jordan makes you feel something, and LeBron doesn't. MJ, and I mean, high-level salespeople will tell you, you want to trigger emotion in advertisers and consumers. You want to make people feel something about a product. Michael has that. You wear his shoes, you feel cool. You like being on that side of the argument. So Michael's richer, more memorable, bigger brand, and he makes you feel something. And LeBron doesn't. LeBron has kind of bounced around to the best basketball opportunity every chance he gets. He's been the great basketball opportunist. And I've never criticized him for that. I understand it.
As he should. He woke up all the NBA players to the reality of what exactly this league is. Do what you have to do, what's best for you and your family to secure your future. There's no reason why over 60% NBA players, just a few years being out of the league, are filing for bankruptcy or are broke. Makes no sense. Once again, LeBron James, he may change the standard of what it means to be the figurehead of a league, and by the time you retire, you should be in position to either own a team, be part owner of a league, or even be part owner of a stadium, or even own a stadium to that degree. We see major cultural sports figures like Lionel Messi come to the United States to be part owner of the MLS. That's really his deal. Long gone are the days where you're like a Pele, you're a Michael Jordan, you're a global figure like Maradona out in Argentina, and you're retiring, but you don't own anything. That should no longer be the case, especially for the money you generated all those years.
His first stop, he got drafted to Cleveland. 7 years in, they couldn't get him another All-Star. I was on the bandwagon, get to Miami. But my take is you probably should have stayed in Miami. In fact, I'd argue the only time LeBron has ever made us feel something was when he went back to his hometown. When he went back to Akron and he won in Cleveland. Remember that letter, I'm going back home? Made you feel something. Then he won in Cleveland. Made you feel something. But he's sort of been the great basketball opportunist. And he's got more points and more assists, and he's been to more finals, but he's never made us feel anything.
Now, Cowherd is speaking from a basketball storyline standpoint. LeBron's is not going to be as great as his predecessors as far as the on-court story, but the overall inspiration from where he comes from to how he set himself up, that already has been proven to have more impact as we see all the players of today. Guys have their own media companies. Guys are taking control of where they play. They kind of see themselves as entities now, more so than the players that came before them. But Michael Jordan was a whole other thing. He was a product of his time. Most people internationally did not see Michael Jordan until the Barcelona games. That's why that was such a big deal. In today's terms, it would be hard to duplicate that because of social media. Everyone is accessible. So that's why the comparisons will never ever add up. When Michael Jordan would leave the court, the media side of his life, the cameras would cut off. Fans would have no idea what happened behind the scenes. But today, anybody could just pull up a phone and go live. From the security guard to the trainer to the team doctor in the locker room. So all this adds on to that Michael Jordan aura, and LeBron James could really never duplicate it because him and Michael Jordan have two completely different personalities. When it comes to the greatest of all times, It's an imaginary conversation, which is always good to have, but you really can't compare eras because the further back you go, the more restrictive the rules get. But there's a few things that great players should always be judged on. That's winning, and also how other greats talk about you. And for LeBron James, when it comes to this GOAT conversation, the only knock he has is that other greats that played in his era do not necessarily have stories where they at some point couldn't get over on him. To the same degree, other greats in Jordan's era could not get past him. Just right here, listen to Reggie Miller and Vernon Maxwell, one NBA champion with the Houston Rockets. And of course, we all know what Reggie Miller is. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a major shit talker. And just listen to the way they talk about Michael Jordan. I'm not sure if LeBron James presents the same aura to his peers of his own era.
45 on us. Not that he wouldn't have scored 45 with me in the game, but shit, give me a chance in our building.
MJ threw 3 punches on the road and didn't get kicked out the game. That's crazy.
The next day, I got a 1-game suspension.
You got kicked out and a game suspension.
And he got 3 games. So why did he get 3 games then?
Right.
And
But
it wasn't
still
kicked
got to
out.
stay in the game. Wow.
So they let him play the game, suspended it 3 games?
And then suspended him.
And that's how they did me at the San Francisco Pro-Am.
Come on, man. Because Mike's in town.
That's Mike, man. I told you, you come in your town, all the bitches got
Hey,
their
Mac
jerseys
said
on.
when Mike came to Houston, all his women started wearing
Here's the
MJ
thing.
jerseys.
Here's the thing, man. You would see these. You would see. You know, you go out to a club or whatever, bar or whatever, and you see these same chicks, real regular. You come to a Bulls game. It's like, why are you dressed like it's Sunday church, man?
I'm saying, I told y'all about this.
Like,
shit. Mike come in your city. Them
cracking.
bitches coming out right.
Man.
They thinking they finna get married or hit. One of them think they're gonna get hit by Mike. Mike ain't thinking about that. Mike coming out.
Of my whole career, one thing I wish or regret, and people will say, I wish I would have had more than one series versus that dude. I'm not saying I would have won. We would have won. Probably not. But you're judged by
those big wins.
I won a few battles. He always won the wars. He's got 6 of them. And we took him 7 games. I just wish we'd have had more. I wish I could have gone against him more.
He had a lot
Again, and I don't want people jumping on the internet. I'm not saying we would have beat them. I would.
Just wanted
It
the
probably would
smoke.
have been the same thing.
Just wanted that smoke.
But man, I want to see.
Show
I
me.
got confidence. I want to see how I am versus that dude.
I'm gonna do my thing too.
I want to see how I am versus that dude. I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for Max. There was no weaknesses. Try to force him left. You try to force him right. You try to top lock him. You try to hold. You try to be physical with him. I equate it to like this. It was like, and maybe this is how centers feel when they were going against Shaq. He was Shaq of shooting guards. I don't care. There was no way you could get around him in front of him. He was just too strong. And
As a matter of fact, some of you fellas could look it up. There were seasons where Michael Jordan averaged 35 points per game, and I believe he had 100 steals and 100 blocks. He was like one of the top players with steals and blocks, like multiple seasons. I mean, if you want to see the footage, you could just look at the Knicks playoff series, him and Scottie Pippen. You would swear there were 2 power forwards the way they were tossing guys around.
And then he had a 48-inch vertical. So you were never blocking his shot.
I got a 50. Shit.
And he could stop on a dime, his handles, and then he held the ball like it was like an orange. So he's taunting you, holding the ball on your face, the tongue is all out and shit. And
Look at that. The real Reggie Miller's coming out. Reggie's not really dick riding him or anything like that. He's not really jacking his style or anything. He's just admitting the truth. Like, yo, I'm nice, but fuck. He's nice. Like, he's even better. Gotta give that man his props.
chewing the fucking gum and all that shit. And then he come down, and the black eyes are looking at you, and I'm looking right back at him. Yeah, motherfucker, I ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And he's looking at you, and man, no weaknesses. None. Zero. I could look. I love tape. I'm watching. I'm always trying to find a tail. And I found a tail on everyone.
Not him.
I could not find a tail. Not one. Damn. Like, okay, if he goes left X amount of times, what is his percentages? Great. Right. Great. Step back. Great.
Greater.
Great. Rebounding. Great. Passing. Great. You can't punk him. I'm trying to find something. So it's almost like shit by committee. Derek McKee.
Come on.
I mean,
we got to get some help down this motherfucker. Come on now. Don't be here. I've been calling.
I ain't too
motherfucker,
proud to
come on.
beg.
Come on now, this motherfucker.
I ain't too proud to beg.
That's what I'm trying to
The toughest
tell you.
shot in basketball, which is the fadeaway, he shot that shit
I mean,
at a high clip. That's the toughest shot
And
in
you
basketball.
cannot
Get
block
to
it. You can't get it.
But see,
it's faded away and it's at 48 inches.
Yeah, when he got to learn how to put his back to the basket and get in that post, that's when he got.
And
really,
then
it got
he got
crazy
he would do the Elijah one.
Yeah, he get
he get
the
that.
shimmy
So
shake shit on you.
He
Oh,
gets you
Lord.
leaning.
Oh my goodness.
And him.
Yo, to see Vernon Maxwell talk like that, Vernon Maxwell is one of the biggest shit talkers in the NBA. This guy used to get into a ton of fights, man. These are not the kind of players, him and Reggie Miller, to be bigging up another player like that. So once again, are there any ego-driven great players of LeBron James's era that can just talk about him to this degree?
And maybe Max can attest to this. Pick and rolls. Don't let your big be one step too. He's splitting. And then now it's up to Dale and Antonio. Good
Look out
luck.
below.
Good luck.
Hey, now he's your problem
Good
now.
luck. Good luck.
Somebody finna get banged on.
He's out of my
he's your
airspace.
problem now if he splits. But then when you would extend him to half court, he would get this shoulder
Down and
or
go
this
around.
shoulder, which way he was coming off, and get under the big, and then it's downhill. So now if you're trailing, as shooting guards are, you got to get under, and then and on top of that, he can shoot. He can shoot.
They talked about it. I seen a lot of videos about his athleticism, but I seen the video recently when he got a tip ball and they passed to him. He went up on vertical on Charles Barkley. That shit was so bad. I'm like,
That's another thing that people don't understand. Not only could he's known for, the two-handed, but he could one leg too.
Yeah.
Either leg too.
yeah.
Either leg. Like it was, and be out till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, smoking, drinking, whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of that comes from the Isaiah Thomas years. See, Isaiah Thomas doesn't get a lot of credit in this whole Michael Jordan buildup because make no mistake about it, he is Jordan's #1 nemesis. Jordan, in the final 2 off seasons before he became champion, had to spend the whole summer regrouping with just the Detroit Pistons in mind, just knowing that he has to get past them in mind. And that's where you hear the stories of him just spending the whole offseason bulking up, adding about 10 to 5 pounds of muscle. A lot of the strength really comes from just knowing that he was going to take a severe beating from the Pistons.
It's going
Playing
down.
cards,
Yes, all this shit.
games at 7:30.
Sometimes he'll go play golf the same day he play.
Man, it's almost like he was trying to make it fair.
Let me go get a buzz and some heat strokes so you guys can have a chance tonight.
Man. Didn't have a tail, guys. And you hear it all the time. Who's the GOAT? Who's the greatest? And all that between, him and LeBron. And I try to stay away from that because I went against LeBron his first year. He was a rookie. My last year. So I don't have no point of reference. But I will say LeBron has the greatest career.
I say that all the time.
He has the greatest career.
Right.
But Mike is the best.
Basketball player ever.
But LeBron has the greatest career. And I think why a lot of old heads want to dog out LeBron is because they were never as good as he is this late in their career.
Right.
And also, they didn't have the options that he had. That's the real resentment. They didn't have the options that he had. They didn't have the ability to just up and leave their team. That willingness to just up and leave your team and just take control of your career and collaborate with others is something that some of them perhaps never even thought of. But also, they didn't have the options to even do that. Again, keep in mind, a lot of the older heads They played in the early 90s, late 80s, and the NBA players all throughout the 80s for I believe about 7 years had fought the league to get the privilege of having free agency.
And they want to get on him for that.
Yeah.
LeBron at 22 years in, at 41, 40, whatever he is, and is about ready to be first or second team All-NBA.
25, 8, and 8.
As old guys, they were never, call them all out.
Some of them wasn't this good in their prime.
That's the thing.
Straight up. They was.
Also, the league was much more physical. We got to keep that in mind. The rules are a lot different. The freedom of movement, the spacing on the court, also with a lot more global talent coming in, they took away a lot of the physicality out the game. Those enforcers that we used to see, those guys without any real skill as far as shooting and passing and being able to dribble the ball, they wouldn't really last as long in today's league.
Wasn't.
And for him to be this good, this long,
Incredible.
you got to say he has the greatest career.
By far.
But is he the best? That's greatest and best is two different things. And I think that's why old heads are getting it mixed up.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want to give LeBron his due.
Yep, he deserves it.
It's a great point. Great point by Reggie Miller right here. One of the greatest careers LeBron James definitely does. And they could look at the way he's moving, the way he has his quote unquote entourage, I should say, because I'm going to compare it to the players previously that came before him. They just had crews where they were just going to the club and getting a bunch of thotties. Meanwhile, LeBron's friends are running sports agencies, running a media company. One of them is even collaborating with possibly sovereign money to formulate their own league. Again, Reggie Miller saying LeBron's possibly had the greatest career. Yes, on the court and possibly even off of it.
Deserves that. I mean, we all wish we could be playing like him in year 22.
50,000 points.
In any year, period.
I mean,
Crazy.
He's about ready to be on one of the All-NBA teams.
So it is what it is. I got to say, I agree with Reggie Miller. LeBron James possibly had the greatest career, but Jordan, in a way, is the greatest player. But again, all this is really subjective because at the end of the day, you really can't compare errors. And there's definitely a Mount Rushmore as far as winners in the NBA. And when it comes to LeBron James, we really got to examine, he is the first of his own kind and perhaps is the most inspirational for not only his colleagues in the NBA, but for a lot of people in general on how to move around in life. It is what it is. You guys should definitely check out the link in the description below. I got more NBA stories like this. And until next time, you fellas stay safe. Peace.